What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be We're Here Season 2 Episode 3. Now listen. Listen, you people down there at We're Here. Listen. This one got me. This one got me right here. Okay, this one got me right here. Okay. So we are down in Del Rio, Texas, which is a border town right between, it's in Texas, but you are literally on the border into Mexico. And so you're dealing with a lot of people that are dealing with the Latin culture, heavy Latin culture. And I would say 2 out of the 3 stars of this episode are still dealing and struggling with being comfortable in who they are. So let's go down the list. So first of all, we meet Bruno. Bruno is paired up with Shangela. Bruno is the damn mayor of Del Rio. Bruno is an openly gay man. He ran as an openly gay man in a Southern conservative Latino town, and he won. He is unapologetically gay. He is unapologetically who he is. He said he is a mama's boy. He talked about his coming out story, how when he told his mom he was gay, she was cool with it, but then she didn't speak to him for 3 days. He talked about when he was running for mayor. He said, he left after high school because he wanted to get as far away from this conservative town as he could. But, he loves this place, and, his heart brought him back. And he wanted to help. He wanted to be changed. He wanted to, fix and improve. And he said when he was running, his opponents tried to use pictures from his Facebook of him at Pride and, with tutus on and topless and all that good stuff, tried to use that against him. And he said, you know what? We absolutely can get into this. Like, we can get into this, or we can talk about economic development. We could talk about improving education. We could talk about building up our community. I mean, if you want to just be salacious and talk about how gay I am, we can do that too. But at the end of the day, I'm here to make change. And he won. He said he's definitely had to deal with, a whole lot of homophobia from people on the council, coming at him and making nasty comments, and things like that. But at the end of the day, he is who he is. He is who he is. And so I said that this is something, we really get something different here, okay? And he is going to do Selena, and listen, you already know that they're going to go up. But the thing about doing Selena in an environment like that, you got to do it right. If you fuck up Selena, baby, you are going to be in what? Trouble. But we'll get to that. Then we meet Joey. Joey is gender fluid, who is still struggling with that. He said that he still goes by him and he, and so I'm not being disrespectful, you guys. If you watch this episode, he and him was the pronoun he went by during the show. So that's the pronoun that I'll use during the show. I'll get to that. So, but Joey is very gender fluid, gender bending. He wears makeup, wears, women's clothing. But he says that he's not really sure where he stands in his identity, but he knows a lot of it is connected to what he feels like his parents can handle. His parents come from a very traditional, Latin family, and he just, he said that his dad has been, his dad is like, I love you, but I didn't need another daughter. I got 2 daughters. I wanted a son. And again, struggling with a lot of the things that I think parents struggle with. You have a child, you have expectations, and you have a point of view, and when it's not that, then they have to deal with the disappointment. We'll get deeper into his family, but he definitely doesn't want to disappoint his family. And him and Eureka have a whole moment. Well, he's paired with Eureka, and him and Eureka have a whole moment immediately. They're crying, and immediately, and Eureka said, "Oh my goodness," he said, "I'm a mess on day one." And Eureka was like, listen, it's going to be okay, and we're going to figure it out, right? We're going to get it. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be okay. Then the third star of this episode is Isel. I hope I'm saying his name right. Isel. Now he is gay, but he has not come out of the closet. He hasn't told his family. I think he said he told his sister, but nobody in his family knows. And he's never done drag. He don't even know what drag is. He didn't know who Bob was. He didn't know that. Bob was like, oh my gosh, like I'm low key like gay famous, you know. And Isel was like, yeah, I don't know you. I don't know you. And I thought that was interesting because when I hear stuff like that, you know, people say, well, you're going to be on TV. How could you do that knowing you're going to be on TV? But I say that's exactly why he did it, knowing he's going to be on TV. He's using this as a way to get it out there without, the way I'm looking at it, like hiding behind it. In my mind, he's hiding behind it, right? And so he actually crosses over the border. His family lives in Mexico, and he crosses over the border regularly, it seems like. And so he actually took Bob with him into Mexico and met his sister, and they had a great time. And it was, you know, they filmed it, him going through the border and everything. And he was like, see, people make it seem like it's so hard, it's such a big deal. He's like, but it's not. Like, if you have, you know, and I don't think he was saying people who were trying to like escape, you know, whatever, but he's talking about like, you know, the news would give you a certain mindset of what's going on in these border towns that's not always accurate. And we saw him go right through. You know, he had his paperwork in order. I'm sure they had cleared everything for Bob to come through with production and all of that. But absolutely, it was no problem. And he said he actually prefers being on the Mexican side than necessarily on the American side. And they were like, well, are you going to invite your parents, your family to the drag show? And he was just like, yeah, I don't think so, because don't even know I'm gay, you know. And so Bob is nudging without pushing that he needs to have the conversation. And he said, listen, I can't tell you what to do, when to do, or even how to do it. I can be a support, I can help you out, you know, but that is absolutely a decision you have to make. Although such a weight would be lifted, you know. So there was a really, really cute scene where, you know how they always go through and they promote the show. They go through the town and they pass out flyers. And of course, it's a little bit harder with COVID. They can't be at an actual club. And what they realize is that there is no gay club in Del Rio. So Bob was like, I don't even know how they find each other. Like, how do you find your family when there's no place to be? When there's no club, there's no place to commingle. How do you meet people in the gay community? And he said, it seems like, you know, there are a lot of gay people here, and they're all in their own silos. They don't know each other. They don't have a place to commingle, to meet each other, to experience each other. And it was so hilarious because the longer they sat there at this outdoor area with the food trucks, people kept showing up, and they said that, you know, basically people were calling around like, the drag queens are here, and they're at such and such a place, and so people just kept showing up. Like, this one guy was like, oh my gosh, somebody called me and told me you guys were down here, and me and my friends just left, and we just immediately came down here. And so they ended up having like a whole like group of people that they hung out with, that they talked to, and Bob proclaimed the food truck the new drag spot of Del Rio. I keep saying Del Mar, of Del Rio. And I thought that was cool because he's absolutely correct. How do you find your community if there's no place to meet up? If there's no gay club, how do you find your community and know who your people are, right? So I thought that was cool. So then we see Eureka. Eureka goes and has dinner, dinner, barbecue with Joey's family. And he met the grandparents who didn't speak a lot of English, and Eureka doesn't speak any Spanish, so Joey was doing a lot of the translating. The dad speaks pretty good English, so he was able to communicate pretty well with Eureka. The mom, I would say maybe 50-50. You know, I think she's more comfortable with Spanish, but she could hold a conversation. And they had a good conversation, and I thought what was accurate was, you know, they asked about, you know, he asked if you know what a drag queen is, you know what a drag queen does, and, you know, they were like, nah, we don't know. And Eureka showed them pictures of when he's in full drag. Eureka's day. When they are in full drag, and, well, no, Eureka said he don't care. But anyway, and of course they saw the pictures and were like, oh my goodness, you are absolutely gorgeous. Like, you know, and I think that they were able to have a good conversation, and he was able to express himself. And, at one point, I think he was trying to find the right words. I think it was a combination of the language and also making sure he was saying it right, so they didn't come off, in a harsh way. And Eureka says, don't worry about how you saying it. I'm not going to judge you. Let's have the conversation. And he basically said the same thing that Joey said. Like, listen, I love my son. I want what's best. I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see him put himself in a bad situation. But at the same time, like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand it. And so I thought they had a really good conversation. Now, they agreed that they're going to come to the show. They're going to support Joey. But you can see when Joey gets frustrated because his parents don't. I think what Joey wants from his parents is just 100% total acceptance and understanding. And it's hard. It's a hard process for everybody to just be like, yeah, we accept, we understand, it's a lot. And it's not all about homophobia or anything. It's just a lot. It's a hard process and it's a lot. So, we saw Bruno talking to Shangela, and Bruno shared a little bit more about his experience. And he talked about, when he told his dad, and his dad's fear was, he said he had a friend who was gay who got HIV. He also had a friend who was gay who committed suicide, I think a family member. And so his response to his son was, listen, be safe. Like, I'm worried about you because I'm worried about you getting hurt, physically getting hurt. I'm worried about you getting AIDS because I've seen these things happen. And so he told his son, he said, listen, I want you to be careful about your sexual escapades, and I want you to really protect yourself. And so while Bruno was in college, he was sexually assaulted. And he said, here I am. The two things my dad warned me against or didn't want for me are the two things that's happening to me. Someone is having unprotected sex with me, potentially exposing me to a disease. And I'm being sexually assaulted, And he came home and he did tell his parents, and they were very, very supportive. They were very supportive. And so, a lot of times people's fears are coming from a place of experience, not a place of phobia, We saw Joey have a conversation with his parents and try to explain to his parents the gender fluid piece, and try to get his parents to understand about him wanting to dress like a woman and wear women's clothing and wear makeup and things like that. And Joey has said earlier that when he has makeup on, his dad doesn't look him in the eye, and that it's hard. His dad has a hard time accepting that part of it. And they got into a really heated discussion, and I mean, even to the point where his dad was like, yo, you need to calm down, like, and he was getting upset, and he got cussing and stuff, and his parents was like, oh, whew, don't get these cameras out of here, because it's about to be a whole nother problem, okay? It's about to be. And I think what Joey wants from his parents is 100 and immediate acceptance, and that's hard. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. I think y'all understand. And so the conversation did get heated. Production even kind of pulled Joey's aside. Well, Joey asked to step away, and they had a conversation, and we could hear it, but we couldn't see it. And they basically were saying the same thing. Like, listen, you got to take this in baby steps. Your expectation might be a bit much. I think your parents are doing the best they can where they are right now, and you got to give it to them in doses. Like, it's a lot. Like, you went from gay to makeup and women's clothing to this is how, I want you to change your pronouns. I want you to call me, I don't want you to call me him. Like, it's a lot. Even under the best of circumstances, it's a lot. And so Bob asked Bruno to talk to Isel about coming out of the closet and just being comfortable in who he is and being comfortable in that acceptance. And what we found out is that when Bruno was running for mayor, he had actually gone to the high school, and Isel was a student there. And he was like, yeah, I shook your hand, and I was so proud of you. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at this openly gay man running for mayor. He was like, and then when you won, I was just so proud. And Bruno was like, well, were you out? Did you know you were gay then? And he was like, yeah, I knew, but I wasn't, I wasn't living in that, And Bruno was like, yeah. And so he told him, he said, listen, it's not an easy road. He said, but you will be so much freer. You will be so much freer when you walk in your truth and you're able to accept it. It's a weight. He was like, I can't even describe the weight that comes off. And it was a good conversation. And what I appreciated is that it was them one-on-one. There was no Shangela, there was no Bob, there was no buffer. It was just the two of them talking and vibing on that. And again, it goes back to Bruno. You never know who you're impacting. You never know how you're impacting somebody. This is a young man you didn't even know. You shook his hand at high school when you were campaigning, and you put an impact on him. You know, you made an impact on him, I should say. So all of that was great, you guys. Then we get to the performances, honey. Listen, Joey was ready. Joey showed up in them stiletto heels to do his rehearsals, and he was ready. And they did a very Vogue-like performance for Joey. Very Madonna, Marie Antoinette, big gown, Vogue. And Joey was here for it, honey. Joey was here for it. Joey was giving it up, giving the performance. I think Joey did a really, really, really good job. And his parents, he even made like little collars that matched his outfit. And his parents showed up, and his parents were there to support him. You know, Isel did tell his family, and oh my gosh, everybody went up. Everybody went up when he told his family. Everybody was so happy for him and so proud of him when he told his family. And they did show up to support him. And he sang Keys to the City. I'm not familiar with the song. But he did a really, really good job. Like, oh my gosh, Isel's makeup was baby. Whoever beat him, bitch. Beautiful. And he did a really, really good job. And then Bruno, I told y'all, Bruno did Selena and baby, they was here for it. Bruno did that. Bruno brought the house down with Selena, honey. Bruno brought the house down. And of course, he already brought a crowd with him because, you know, so many people, he's the mayor and they know he gay. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh. So it was definitely there. But let me tell you something. Those moments with Isel and his family, baby, it choked me up. Joey with his family, it choked me up, honey. Okay, I was here for all of it. And the reason why I said what I said in the beginning about the pronoun situation is because at the end, we find out that Joey, a couple of weeks after the show, Joey is now a trans woman and identifies as she. And so that's why I was saying I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but I was going to use the pronouns that were being used during the show because the gender identity was such a big part of this conversation. So I'm not trying to offend nobody. Please don't put nothing in my inbox about I should have done. I'm telling you why I did what I did, okay? But Joey is now a trans woman and fully identifies as that. And the pronouns would be she, her. Okay. I do not have Joey's name. I don't know if Joey still goes by Joey or has changed her name. Okay. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.